Well, hello again, everyone. This is Jeff Adler, continuing my video series, and we're into quite a few chapters now. I think I'm on chapter 22, 3, 4. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Anyway, we're this is Why I'm Right 2.0, following up my book, which is no longer available, but we'll write some new books. Who knows? Right now we're doing the videos instead of the books. Today I'd like to talk a little bit about, more in depth about the philosophy of conservatism and how the country was built. Now, my second or third video, a year or so ago, I talked a little bit about why America is special and what makes her tick, but we're going to get a little bit more into the philosophy of that and the origins of conservatism and how it relates to the United States. Recently in the news, we've been seeing, well, not recently, I mean, it's been going on for a while, but consistently in the news, we see a lot of people complaining on the political side of things about America, its place in the world. There's a long, kind of arduous, painful misunderstanding of conservatives and conservatism. It's misrepresented. It's, when they try to do, when liberals in Hollywood try to represent Republicans and conservatives in Hollywood as characters, they always get it wrong. These characters are always the bad guy. They're laughable. They're silly, or they're mean or evil. But even when they're playing them straight, they always have some misunderstandings of what a Republican and more specifically what a conservative really thinks. But it's not just Hollywood getting this wrong. Lots of people get this wrong. I just saw a video yesterday. A political science professor at Queen Mary College in England, in London, was talking about what conservatives believe. And he had it wrong. And it's amazing. Even a professor has it wrong. Why do I know it's wrong? It's because I didn't believe what he said. I didn't believe in what he was saying. And I'm a conservative. He's not going to tell me what I think. Basically what he was arguing or talking about was the nature of conservatism as it relates to times in the past, and philosophers of the past, before the word conservative even existed. And, a couple 100, 300 years ago. And how one of the aspects of conservatism is a desire to hold on to tradition, come what may. And he acknowledged that all types of philosophies, be they left wing or right wing, what have you, have their own traditions. It's not the tradition in and of itself that is the determinant here. It's how we treat them. And that in his mind, conservatives will hold on to a tradition no matter what, at the expense of all else. And he's dead wrong. It couldn't be more wrong. That is not the conservative mind. The conservative mind holds on to traditions that are worth holding on to. They try to maintain traditions that they deem worthwhile and change those that are changeable and need changing. Slowly, methodically, constructively change those that need changing. Whereas a liberal or a progressive changes for the sake of change, which I noted he didn't mention about the other side and how they deal with tradition, which is to say they just throw the baby out with the bathwater. The conversation was about liberalism, it was about conservatism, so I don't really care that he didn't say that, but you just know that if the conversation was about both, he wouldn't bring that part of it up, more than likely. Um, Unconstructive change is the way of the progressive. Um, so no, we are not stuck in the mud, stuck to our principles. We would sacrifice a tradition for the greater good. We would sacrifice a tradition for the sake of righteousness or doing what's right in a heartbeat. We do it all the time. We're not against change. It's just it has to make sense and it has to be done in the right time frame and the right speed. You can't just force it on people. It won't work right. It won't be done right. It'll be done in haste. It'll have to be redone again later, and blah blah blah. So he doesn't even know what a conservative is. So if a professor follows political science doesn't know what a conservative is, God help the children that are being taught by him. And which raises a question: is he actually ignorant? So he's passing down his stupidity to a whole generation of minds full of mush? Or is he purposely being ignorant or purposely passing wrong information to minds full of mush into the audience on the YouTube that I watch? I don't know. Probably doesn't matter. What does matter is he was wrong. And that makes one wonder, why is it that so many people get this stuff wrong? Well, part of it is, of course, and probably purposefully, they stripped out the kind of well-rounded educations that kids growing up in public school used to have. The civics and certain histories, certain philosophies are no longer taught. And if anything of that is left over, it's usually the left-wing crap. It favors the stuff they're trying to indoctrinate the kids with and eliminates any counterpoint. And so children are growing up with only a nominally one-directional understanding of history and an almost incomprehensible understanding of philosophy or governments and history regarding governments and the rest. When they get to college, these 70 to 80% liberal professors are quick to jump upon that lack of well-rounded education to complete their education in liberalism and progressivism, taking full advantage of the children in their captive little audiences to make sure that they come out the other end as good little Democrat lemmings. So the system purposely teaches the wrong thing, ignores certain histories and philosophies, and the one thing that really galls me the most, a lot of it galls me, but the thing that probably galls me the most is when all this poor education or lack of education, misguided education, falls upon how citizens and young adults view their own country, the United States. They are given a, kind of iffy feeling about it in the first place, but once they're in college, all of a sudden they are just slammed in the head with negative. They are taught that America is systemically and from its inception filled with bigotry, injustice, inequality, unfairness, and the like, which led to slavery and persecution and repression and all this other stuff that America itself is to blame for this because it was made and created in this way. They're taught that America has to be fundamentally transformed, we've heard that word, to ever get to where it needs to be. And of course, then here comes the socialism and the communism and the utopianism, and here comes all that stuff to fill in that hole that apparently needs filling because the kids have been taught that America has a lot of issues and problems and holes that they need to root out this nature of the country, and in its place fill it with progressivism and socialism and the like. And they believe that America is so flawed that it is not worth being patriotic for. So the patriotism goes out the door, or it's kind of at a level, unpassionate kind of way. And it leads to people being somewhat apathetic about things, and they don't care when people kneel at football games for the national anthem, and they don't care. It's all good. They don't care if rise for the flag. They don't care if about the military being strong. They don't care about how America's special to compare to other countries. They shrug. They whatever. Meh. Well, the people who are pushing this, the liberals got really bent out of shape when people on the right used the term real Americans. Oh, we're all Americans. You can't say one's an American and not American just because of their belief system and blah, 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 blah. We all want the best. We all want to improve the country. We all want this one. No. You don't get away with that. There's a reason we use the term real Americans, which means, of course, there are people who are not real Americans. And that is simple. I believe it's incumbent upon every American to understand the truth and to learn it. If they're not taught in school, then go find out it for yourself. If you find that there's probably somebody out there who believes something different than you, there might be a reason for it. Learn what it is. Just because you think you're so cocksure in your beliefs that you were taught by these great important professors at these great important universities that socialism and communism and certainly not capitalism and all this other stuff is the way to go. That America is bad in its core, and you're so cocksure about this, and then you hear that there's a bunch of Americans who disagree with you. You might want to go and find out why, because if you don't, you're doing yourself and your country a great disservice. Why is there a bunch of people, half the country, maybe more, who disagree with all that? Why is there a group of people like us who say there are real Americans and then there's others? Because anybody who lives in this country who doesn't know why it's special, who doesn't know its true founding, doesn't know how it was founded, why it was founded the way it was, why it was created, why the Declaration says what it does, why the Constitution is done the way it is, why our government system is built the way it is, and finds it to be great and special, is either incapable of learning or does not desire to learn it. And if you do not desire to learn it and would rather replace the country as it was meant to be with something it was not meant to be, then you're not a true American. I'm sorry. Because you cannot love your country and you cannot be a patriot if you think the country is flawed to the extent that these people supposedly think it's flawed. That it's institutionally unjust and racist and all the rest. Why would you love that country? Why would you consider yourself a patriot? Moreover, if there's countries outside of the United States that are achieving what you think you need, socialism, communism, dictatorial regimes, move there. Because it ain't going to happen here. And there's a reason it ain't going to happen here. Aside the fact that half the country will fight you tooth and nail before you ever get there. But it's because America is different. And it isn't capable of becoming a socialist society or a communist society or a utopian society. Because then if it did, it would no longer be America. You'd have to call it something else because it sure as hell would not be America anymore. What it would be, I don't know. I wouldn't want to live there, I can tell you that. But this is what they're striving for. And if this is what you're striving for, you're not a true American. You're not a real American. A real American loves his country or her country. A real America stands and honors and recognizes the traditions, the symbology, the history, and the culture, and appreciates it. A real American knows its past, knows its founding, and knows why it is the way it is. It also knows, a real American also knows that America is just an idea. An idea that did not include slavery or segregation or institutional unfairness and injustice. That these are the results of men doing bad things. I mean, nothing to do with the country or its inception or the ideas behind the country. It's just men being men. The nature of man. Going sideways on us, going south on us. The bad actors in history taking us where we shouldn't go. And if they happen to do it in the name of the country, that's on them. They're dead wrong. The country, which is an idea, an experiment, brought down from philosophers going all the way back to the ancient Greeks, is not responsible for a group of people deciding they want slavery, or a group of people deciding they want segregation, or a group of people deciding they want to have a unequal system of justice in the courts. America didn't say, let's have an unjust system in the courts. America did not say, let's have segregation or slavery. It was already there. In fact, the Founding Fathers tried to abolish slavery long before the Civil War. But the South wouldn't have it. There's a whole lot of reasons we have what we have. None of it has to do with America as a country or as an idea. So what we're going to do is we're going to talk about the philosophies that the left is all about and where they got their crazy ideas and schemes from. And then we're going to talk about where America got its founding. And we'll do that in subsequent parts to this video. See you then.